Demand? Who are you to demand anything? I run this town. You're just a bunch of low-income nobodies.
Election in November.
What?
Hey, what's up, world? I was just looking at some data, and I was looking at this data for a reason, which I'll get into in a moment, and I connected this data with some other things that have happened, and it made me realize that these things add up to only one thing: a ramping up of their vaccination game. So, before I get into this, before I get into all of that stuff, I want to just quickly talk about this warning that YouTube has had on my channel for over a year and a half now. And it's really interesting. So, on May 31st of 2021, YouTube removed this video, The Truth About the Cult of Science and the Georgia Guidestones. They removed this video, and instead of giving me a strike, they gave me a warning. And I think that they gave me a warning because it had been some time since I had received my last strike. So when you receive a strike, they usually will suspend you from being able to upload for a week, and then after your second strike it'll be 2 weeks. But strikes expire after 90 days. But for some reason, this warning has not gone away after a year and a half. Now, what I want to document right now is me doing this for the second, actually, this is going to be the third time that I'm doing this. So you can come over here. Now, the thing is, I didn't appeal this. I didn't appeal this or have this reviewed. What I do every time is I click on I don't want to appeal. Okay? That's what I click on every time. So right now I want to document this, me submitting this. I'm going to submit it. I don't want to appeal. Thanks for your review. Dismiss. I do not want to appeal. And watch, it's going to stay here for basically forever. I'm sure that if I come back here a year from now, 2 years from now, if I'm alive 3 or 4 years from now, this review will still frickin' be here. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show the puzzle pieces that led me to this conclusion that after the election in November, they're going to be basically bringing back this whole vaccination program. And by the way, I'm not trying to violate any policies. I'm not saying anything good or bad about the vaccines. I'm simply saying that based off of this information, based off of this data, I can only conclude one thing, and that is after the elections, they're going to be probably pushing the vaccines in schools and maybe doing some other stuff. This is just a prediction. So it all started with them giving me this strike for my religious exemption letter template. Now, I had uploaded this video way back in February. If not February, maybe early March. I kind of forget. Doesn't really matter. But they decided to give me a strike for this video on October 3rd of 2022. Now, I attempted to appeal it because nothing in this video violates their medical misinformation policy. I've looked at their medical misinformation policy. I've looked at this video. Nothing in this video violates this medical misinformation policy. The only thing that I can think of is that they think it violates their policy because they think that I'm promoting faith-based healing in this video. But I'm not. I do not believe in faith-based healing. This video here is not about faith-based healing. I think faith-based healing is ridiculous. It's an absurd concept that is not based in empirical reality. But yet they gave this video a strike. So after they gave this video a strike, a couple days later, it's probably a week later, this came up in the news. CDC group endorses adding COVID shots to recommended vaccine schedule. This came out, They passed the vote on October 20th, 2022, but it was in the news that they were going to have this vote a week before they actually had the vote, which was just a week after YouTube gave me a strike for this video. So after I saw that, I was like, all right, you know what? I have to start following the COVID deaths because COVID deaths was not in the news at all. Nobody was really talking about COVID deaths in the news. But then check this out. This is COVID deaths for New York. Okay, it's been mostly flat, okay, but you see a pattern here. And the pattern that you see here is that they do not upload data on the weekends. So that's why you have all of these breaks. You have a couple days here where it's 0 deaths. So where it says 0 deaths, you can look at these dates like June 26th or June 19th and June 20th. These are weekends. So on the weekends, they don't upload data. Maybe there's a couple of days here where there actually were like no deaths, or maybe these are like holidays. Like when it's not a weekend, there's probably like a government holiday. But anyway, what's interesting is that check this out. Look, October 20th, this is when CDC has their vote. The very next day, New York updates the COVID death thing to 201 deaths. That's off of this entire scale. This scale goes up to 150. They dump 200 deaths the very next day, pushing the 7-day average up to 45. Then the weekend happens, and then check this out. They got the 25th, and then check this out. 441 deaths. Where is that? Right here. 441 deaths, which pushes the 7-day average up to 101 deaths. And then it's tapered off. Here they only have 15. And then here it's like the weekend, so it's 0 and 0. And then the week is going to start up. Today's Monday. So they'll probably update this in like the next, if not tonight, then probably tomorrow. Now, other states don't seem to have this entirely. Let's see, if we look at California, California is still flat. But if you remember the start of the pandemic, it sort of started in New York. So California is still flat. However, if we look at London, we see the same thing. Check this out. Flat for days, 0 deaths. From October 9th, even October 8th, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. All the way through. And then suddenly, they had this massive data dump. Like I guess for some reason, maybe it's because they were having their elections. Like I know that the prime minister resigned, and they have a new prime minister. So like, is that why they didn't update this at all? And this is nothing new. Like they were doing these data dumps during the pandemic too. Like if you look at some of these here, you see like some of this right here, these big dumps. These were sort of these big dumps. Sounds like I'm talking about shit, right? These big updates. I'll refer to them as updates, so it doesn't sound like I'm talking about fecal matter over here. But these big updates are nothing new. They did do this throughout the pandemic, and it's interesting when they chose to do this. If you look at when they chose to do this and what the news was talking about, it's very interesting. But based off of this, I'm going to make the prediction that right after the election, they're going to be bringing this up. Now, what's interesting, too, is actually when I was looking up the news for this, I came across this article from 4 days ago. New York lawmakers to revive push to mandate COVID-19 vaccines in schools. So that's what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. This is my prediction. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed prediction, but this is where it looks like things are heading.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
What kind of an example are we setting?